Are you aware that under the law and the Act, all executive directives are to be written?
Yes, sir, I'm aware of that. All executive directives should be written, but that was the order of the day in those days. You see, if you want to ask for a written executive directives, likely maybe you might even be connived. They might say that you are even conniving with those detainees. For example, if it is a coup abort, they might even say that you are part of the coup, so that might endanger your life.
Mr. Sowe, I would also like you to shed a bit of light, because in your testimony you have indicated that when the detainees were to be brought, you were called to actually come and admit them. Can you explain why that scenario existed?
Normally, in most cases, when they are coming, they will call the director, the then Director General, David, who will call me and inform me. I will also drive and go to my office. Then the NIA or the junglers will bring these detainees to my office. Then I will invite the reception officers. Admission will be done in my office. Then they will leave. After when they leave, I will also take it upon myself to control the detainees a little bit, you know, before I will further tell the officers to take them to the security wing to go and put them in the cells.
So, Mr. Sowe, are you trying to tell this commission that there were a particular team that worked on receiving and detaining the detainees?
Yes, these are between two teams. It's either the junglers or the NIAs, because you never know that these are junglers or these are NIAs. These are people who are in civil clothes, and when they come, they will tell you that we are from the NIA. But you know, if you know them, you know how they behave. You know that, look, these are junglers. So they are very difficult to differentiate. But these are the two groups.
Apart from that two groups that you've just talked about, which is the NIA or the junglers, I'm actually trying to get a better clarification for the team that existed within the prisons. Was there a particular team that existed within the prisons that would receive the detainees and detain them?
No, there was no particular team that exists in the prisons to say that, you know, if detainees are brought, that is the only team that will receive them. No, it depends on the officers whom you know that they are on duty. But me being the operations, like I said, I will be called by the then director, then I will come after they are receiving these people from the junglers or the NIS. I will hand them to the officers on duty, and they will put them in cells.
I think you've just answered my follow-up question, which was going to be that, so it means that the then DG, David Colley, and yourself were always involved when detainees were brought to be detained.
Yes, yes. Most of the time he will call me and inform me that, you know, there are detainees who are supposed to come, so you should go. He will not tell me the names of the people who are coming. He will just tell me that there are detainees who are supposed to be brought, and I will go back to the office and wait.
And it is also correct that you all were aware that your actions were not according to the laws of the Gambia?
Yes, madam, the actions were unlawful and they were not in line with law, but, you know, like I said before, that was the order of the day. For my own safety, that was the only thing that I can do, because it was an order from the Director General, so I cannot say no to it.
Were there any efforts made to actually assist family members to know that their members, like their family, were actually being detained at the Mile 2 Central Prisons?
No, there were no efforts to assist family members to know that their families were detained, because at that time, if you want to do that and the commands happen to know it, you will have a problem. You see, people will come up to the gate there, sometimes trying to find about whether their families are there, but you cannot tell them that they are here, because Nobody trusts anybody. You never know where people are getting information or who is sending information to the top. So everybody was working for his own safety.
Is it true that there was a clandestine way of doing things, the way you received them, the way you kept them incommunicado, not letting anybody know their whereabouts?
Pardon, can you repeat your sentence?
Was there a system in place whereby when they were brought in, they were kept in a particular way that nobody would know where they were and what their conditions were?
No, the problem is the system there was where they were first kept, like at the NIA, because we don't know when they were arrested. We are only keepers. I can quote you an example. I was operation then, but I came to know that Babali was in Bambadinka of late when he was to be released. That was when I knew that Babali is in Joshua on the whole, he's at Bambadinka. So you see, things can be done whilst even those working in the prisons may not even know that people are brought here.
So as operations, a person can be brought in to the prisons without your knowledge? Is that what you're telling this commission?
Yes, for that of Babali was not up to my knowledge.
Okay. Were they allowed to receive necessities such as toiletries, the blankets, mattresses from outside as per the act?
When they are brought, normally in the prisons, when a prisoner is brought, no matter whether you are a detainee, convict, or remand, for blanket and mattress and mosquito nets, you will be given that one. That one is compulsory. But now, from there, maybe your own personal needs is what you will not have, because that one is through your family members. That those people should be the ones to bring it for you. So if they are not aware that you are in the prisons and you are not having visit, definitely you will not have those things.
But we have received evidence here that it is not always provided for the detainees or the prisoners, which is the blankets, the mosquito nets, etc.
Yeah, it could be from 94, because I cannot explain much about 94. I can explain about 97 and when I was the Commissioner of Operations in 2011. I can explain those. It could be in those days, you see, when maybe blankets were not enough, mattresses were not enough, or when they bring people, they say don't give them mattresses and blankets. Because sometimes when they come with their own directives. You see, they will come and say that these prisoners should remain in cuff. You see? So you dared not to say no to that.
So, Mr. Sowe, as a follow-up, so if a family member was to come and approach you or any other officer about a family member, and you are fully aware that that family member is actually within your custody, what actions did you or any of the officers take to assist the detainee or the family member?
That is a little bit complicated, but as prison officers, we also use our means. Sometimes you will see officers will go and inform family members that ABC is here, but definitely I don't want you to put it out to everybody that I am the one who informed you, but just know it like this. And you know, they will be sending messages. Like I said yesterday, this country is very small. People are just one family. We know one another. Maybe the guy you brought in is even very close to me. You never know. And I'm a prison warder. So I must have that feeling and see how best I can help him underneath secretly. Because there are officers too who might go and report on top that ABC is doing this and this.
So you were all being very careful?
Very, very careful, sir.
But at the detriment of the detainee?
Yes.
And their rights being violated?
Yes, we were very, very careful.
If we may move on to another issue, which is about the torture of prisoners
Yes, sir.
in the prisons.
Yes, sir.
As operations, you've told us that everybody kind of reports to you. Can you tell us if you've ever been aware of any torture during the times that you have been an officer?
Yes, I can say when I was reinstated in 2016, I took over my position from Commissioner Jame. When I took over, as part of our handing over, I have to go around with him to the various wings to have first-hand information of what is happening. So,
Mr. Sowe, can we go back before even the issue of
torture.
Jame?
Okay.
Like you taking over from Jame? Because you've been in the prison system way before even we got to
Jame, yes.
Jame's time.
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us, even during that time, did you ever witness or know about tortures happening within the prison system?
It can be, but it's not up to my knowledge.
All right, so now tell us the ones that you know.
Yes, when I was reinstated back in 2016, I took over from Commissioner Jame, who was occupying the operation position in my absence. As part of our handing and taking over, we went round the various wings. Definitely, I was not happy with what was happening on the ground, because that the prisoners were jubilating, chanting. They are hearing me because they are watching this too. They were jubilating, chanting, shouting, insulting Jame until we complete our rounds. So when we came, I went to Joshua too, did the same round. I came back. I went to meet the then Director General of Prisons, that's David Coley. You see, I told him that anyway, I have done my rounds with Jame, but definitely I'm not happy with certain things that I have seen on the ground. You see, I told him because when I was coming back in the system, my family members warned me seriously not to take over this operation position. But hence you insist, I will still continue. I say the prisoners are not the least happy with the way Jame was handling them. And with what I have seen on the ground, I think we need to change our footsteps. I said prior to my dismissal, there was this directive that I give to the medical in charge, that is the late Bakari Waf Kujabi, that, let's allow prisoners to have prescriptions of tea, milk, and sugar on a monthly basis. If the prisons cannot afford it for them, their family members can afford it on monthly basis, which we were doing. But I said, to my understanding, when I came back, Jame have collected all these things, and it's like that is also disturbing the prisoners. Then I did not know that they were tortured. But when the minister came there on round, that's the time the prisoners started speaking out outright to say that they have been tortured there. They were taken across to the headquarters, being tortured. So, and it doesn't go well with me.
Did they mention any names of who conducted the tortures?
Yes, they mentioned names.
Can you tell this commission?
It is Commissioner Ibrahim Jame, Chief Officer Malan Tamba, and others. It was quite a number of officers.
Can you tell us the status of those officers presently?
Presently, they are not working because, like I said yesterday, an investigation panel was formed, and they came there, so they were invited for questioning. Since then, they did not report to work. I don't know how it all went.
You've mentioned Ibrahim Jambe, and he has been mentioned several times during this course of this theme that we started. Can you tell us where he's from?
Ibrahima is originally from Fonyi, Jarol, because I know his elder brother, who was my age mate, but he is now the late. But I know they are related with the Jamekunda family in Kanilai, one way or the other. Yes.
Do you know how long he served as an officer in the prisons?
I can't actually remember how long, but I know that I seniored him in the service. Yes.
Can you tell us how he rose in rank?
Yes, he was promoted from private, corporal, sergeant, sergeant. I cannot actually remember, but he rose through the ranks up to the rank of a commissioner.
Was he the one that was being referred to as the chief torturer?
Yes, yes, yes.
Can you tell us why?
Yeah, because the prisoners were complaining that he is the one who normally gives out directives so that they will be collected out of the cells and being tortured by officers. So obviously they will refer to him as the chief, referring him as the chief torturer is not a mistake.
We know there are different forms of torture. Can you tell us the types that the prisoners actually complained about?
They were physically tortured, the one they were complaining, because I discussed with one of them, Falu Sise, who was a tailor. He was very close to me. In fact, when I was reinstated, he was the first red band I appointed. You see, he's a Senegalese, but I called him, I said, look, I trust you, so you will be the first red band that I will appoint. So I instructed the officers to make him a red band. So he was very close to me. He told me, boss, I'm sorry, but when you left here, definitely we suffered a lot. I said, what happened? He said, I was tortured up to an extent that, I was admitted at the hospital. You see, so
Mr. Sowe, I'd like to just shed a bit more light on it. When we say torture, what type of torture was it? Were there broken ribs? Was there blood? Was equipment used? Can you just tell us a bit more on the torture itself?
No, according to what Falu told me, they took pipes, hose pipes, and they were beating them with hose pipes. So with the impact they have on their bodies, definitely I cannot mention that. Maybe the prisoners themselves can reveal the pains that they sustained, whether their ribs were paining or...
Did they inform you of any deaths that occurred due to the torture?
Yeah, I heard that one prisoner died, but I can't remember the name definitely, but I heard that one prisoner died because of the torture.
Could it be an Ibrahim Ajouf?
Yeah, it could be, because that time I was not in the system, I was at home.
Could it be Lamarara Jallo?
It could be. It could be.
Well, this commission has already received evidence that those two prisoners actually died from torture in the prisons.
It could be. It could be. I will not dispute to it, because like I told you, Falu told me, even Falu could have died. He told me, boss, even me, I could have died. Because, in fact, the doctor have to have a push and pull with the officers that I must stay at the hospital for some times, according to Falu.
Mr. Sowe, thank you for that. Can you tell this commission what happens when a prisoner dies in prison?
Yeah, when a prisoner dies in prisons, first of all, the officer in charge, because like I said before, the prison is such an institution that every unit is headed by somebody. The officer in charge will go and inform the medic unit. Then they will dispatch a medical officer who will come and check the prisoner. If he satisfied that this one is no longer having life in him, he or she will evacuate the prisoner from the cell and take him to the clinic. From the clinic, they will put the prisoner in the ambulance and take the prisoner to the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital as BID, brought in death. Then from there, further checkings and their medical, the medics will take it over from themselves. Is either they go in for post-mortem or they sign an affidavit with the family. Those are the responsibility of the medical officers. They can better elaborate on that.
Mr. Sowe, if I may just take you back a bit.
Yes, sir.
We've talked about overcrowding at the prisons.
Yes, sir.
We've talked about the fact that from 5 o'clock, prisoners are put in their cells and they do not come out again till 7 in the morning.
Yes.
So let's take the scenario where you have an overcrowded prison.
Yes, sir.
And prisoners are laying on top of each other.
Yes.
The place is really heated.
Yes.
We've had all this evidence here.
Yes.
And a prisoner dies.
Yes.
By 9 o'clock at night when they're already locked in there. What happens from then? Can you tell this commission so we can get a better understanding?
What happens is, when prisoners are locked up, always there is a locking up officer. This is a senior officer, normally chief officer or senior principal officer, who controls the keys. So whenever there is any problem at night, he is the one, and he sleeps on the ground. He is the one to be consulted, and he will come and open the safe keys, remove the cell's keys, and the cell will be open, and the problem that is there will be addressed. So I assume if that happens and a locking up officer is on duty, he will take charge of his responsibilities.
Mr. Sowe, have there been periods or times where prisoners have had to stay with deaf inmates till morning before they're taken out?
Not in my presence, but when I was off the system, I was at home. The late Bakari Waf Kujabi called me one day, and he informed me that, boy, there is a serious problem in Mile 2. I said, what happened? What's the problem? He said a prisoner died inside the cells, and because the then DG, David, ordered them to lock the infirmary, that's the clinic, you see, where prisoners have medication. So the prisoners insisted that, you know, this dead body will not come out from the prisons, according to what the late Bakari Waf Kujabi told me.
So it is therefore correct to say that there have been several incidents where a prisoner has died and has been left in a cell to sleep with the other prisoners till morning.
Yeah, I can speak on this one that I am informed, but I have never witnessed anywhere in the prisons that a prisoner died in the cell and he is left in the cell. I haven't witnessed that.
Thank you. Mr. Sowe, in your statement, you also talked about the issue of the prisons being used to dehumanize prisoners.
Yes.
Can you shed light on that for this commission?
Yes, the prison was used to dehumanize prisoners, because definitely the way prisoners were brought in and out of the prisons, even me, I don't like it. Because people will come, like I said, with the remains and convict, we don't have problem with that. We know that they have gone through a court of law. But with the detainees, definitely sometimes when they come, if they explain their scenario to you, you will know that it is very ungenuine. But what can you do? That was the order of the day.
So you would agree that the prisons were in a condition, no matter whether you were a detainee, someone in remand, or a convict, the condition is not fit for humans?
Yes, madam, I will agree to that. The prison's conditions generally are not fit for human, because looking at the geographical location of the central prisons is not even ideal for a human being to live. As I'm speaking to you, even right now we are facing such problems at the remand wing. The remand wing is overcrowded, and the cells are very small, you see, and they are not conducive. It's just that we are trying to improve them. We put these wall fans, big wall fans, to make sure that, you know, the fans will keep on blowing, at least to make the place a little bit better. But it's not the least conducive, definitely. And furthermore, if I'm allowed, I am one officer even who doesn't like going to the remand wing frequently. I'll be very honest to you. because the conditions there, I am not happy with them. There is nothing I can do about it. And the worst thing is the remand wing is on the Banjul Highway. So it's very, very risky. At any time, you know, a truck or a car can run into the remand wing and cause casualties for both officers and prisoners, because the prisoners are there, they are there with officers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sowe. At this point, I'd like to move a bit to yourself.
Yes, sir.
You have told us in your statement that at some point you were dismissed from service.
Yes.
Can you tell us what happened?
Yes, thank you, madam. When I returned back from my peacekeeping mission in South Sudan in 2011, sorry, these are things, when I talk about them, I feel a little bit angry, but I'll try to manage myself. I came back home very happily because I believe my second mission, I have learned a lot of things in the UN system, and definitely I will definitely say that I came back home confidently because I came with a very good recommendation certificate from the UN Police Commissioner as to my performance in the UN system. So when I came, I was there, then there was these changes that happened. David was moved to the Ministry of Interior, and Bora Koli, one brigadier general in the army, Bora Koli, was brought in as Director General of Prisons. When he came, he conducted his rounds in the prisons to see the prison facilities for himself, you see, and immediately he started work. The next day, I went to his office, you know, to go and brief him as the acting commissioner of operation as to how we operate, to tell him that the way the prison operates is completely different from how the military operates. You see, I went back to my office.
Sorry, why did you bring the issue of the difference between how the military operates and how prison officers are to operate?
Good, thank you, madam. The issue why I bring that is because Bora have never been a prison officer. He was all along a military officer. And now that he is brought to the prisons, the reason why I told him that was for him not to think that, you know, the prison operates like how the military operates, because our responsibilities are completely different, you see. So when I told him that, I went back to my office. I was there 2 days. I received a call from the headquarters that I should hand over my office keys to one commissioner, Lamin, who was in Joshua and then. So Fall came, we did the handing over, and thank God I went round with him, because that is the normal procedure. When you are handing over to somebody, you need to round the ground with him so that he will see for himself as to how the ground is. We went round the whole prisons, then from there we did the handing and taking over. The next day, I moved to Joshua at the adult wing. I was there.
You were moved
yes,
to the Joshua wing?
Yes, sir. I was moved to Joshua at the adult wing. I was there in the adult wing for about 2 weeks. Another memo came in that, you know, I have to be moved from the adult wing to the juvenile justice wing. This is the place where young offenders are kept. You see, I went there, I was there, and at the same time I served as the focal person for the prisons at the Joint Operation Center, that's JOC. So one day I went to the headquarters. I took it upon myself to go and meet the DG to brief him, that's Bora. When I gave him the role as to the number of juvenile inmates under my custody, the first thing he asked me is whether you don't take them for labor. So I laughed. I told him, sir, these people, they are not here for labor. These are young offenders. They are just like our kids back at home. I was having the juvenile manual. I showed it for him. To him, I told him, even me, I'm not very much conversant with juvenile systems, but I'm trying to read their books so that I will know what to do. I say, these people, their labor is just to go and water the garden. From there, they go to the classroom, go and have their lessons. So I came back to my office. I was there one day at home. When I closed, I received a phone call from the headquarters that I should go to the headquarters the next morning to attend a meeting.
Mr. Sowe, please, can you clarify what you're referring to as the headquarters?
Mile 2 prison's headquarters. So the next day morning when I report at the juvenile wing, I was made to, people start coming to me, like Bakari Waf, Kujabi, Kemesen Koli, and many others. They told me, we were called yesterday that we are supposed to go for a meeting at the headquarters, Mile 2 headquarters today. I say, okay, they have called me also that, we should go and, I should go and attend this meeting. So after taking my breakfast, we take off from Josuang to Mile 2. Upon arrival in Mile 2 headquarters, when I parked my vehicle, I got out of my vehicle, I look at the environment, and I told the late Bakari Waf Kujabi, I said, Waf, he says, I said, this is not going to be a normal meeting. He said, how do you know? It's a normal meeting. I said, no, I can see NIA officers on the ground. What are they finding here? He said, no, it's a normal meeting. Maybe we are going to open the new clinic that was funded by the Global Fund. I said, okay, let's wait and see.
So from that point, do you know what the NIA officers were doing at the prisons?
At that point, I don't know exactly what they were doing at the prisons, but I suspected that they were there for a reason.
Can you tell us why they were there?
I only came to know why they were there when we got inside the conference room and we were all seated to get the meeting started. That was the time when Bora came out of his office and he sat down. He did not speak much. The only thing he told us that was some officers are dismissed from the service and they have to cooperate with the investigators. So when he said so, he wanted to get up and go. I told him, sir, but I think it is very ideal, we as responsible people who are holding positions, to go back and hand over our positions correctly before we can proceed into anything, which he agreed on.
So after the handing over, can you tell us what happened then?
Yes, after the handing over, the rest of, because we were 18 in number, I was the most senior then, I was chief superintendent. The rest of the officers who were not having their own vehicle were parked in a minibus with the NIA officers and some prison officers to escort them to go to their houses one by one and collect their uniforms and whatsoever, before they will be brought back to the NIA for further investigation.
At this point, do you know why you were being dismissed?
No, madam. I cannot say why we were dismissed. I was going to come onto my own because I was with my vehicle. So I requested that if I can drive my vehicle, which they said, yes, you can drive your vehicle, but you have to be escorted by an NIA officer to your house. I said, okay, good. After handing over the juvenile wing to one Badu Jeng, I went with the NIA officer to my house. You see, I collected, removed my uniform and put on civil dress, pack all my uniforms, put them in a bag and give it to him. Then from there we drove. But prior to leaving my compound, there were some words that I told my wife. You see, he was standing. I told my wife, anyway, I'm dismissed, and I am going. I haven't done anything. But if anybody should come here and request money from you, don't give anybody anything. I don't owe anybody money. The monies I have here are through my own hard work. So this was how we left to the NIA headquarters.
Can you tell us what happened when you got to NIA?
Yes, when we got to the NIA headquarters, this was sometimes just close to midday. So we were taken to a big hall where all of us were seated. First, they called me as the most senior. I was taken to one small room, you see, where I was seated, and they asked me whether I haven't gone to Pakaliba to meet one Marabu, one old man called Mr. Dabo. So when they started such, I got very much annoyed. In fact, I told them I'm not going to write any statement. If you want, take me around the sea, you go and shoot me. But I'm not going to talk anything. I haven't done anything.
How long did you spend at the NIA?
We were there until 12 midnight, you see. Sorry, before I will come to that, they have to go and bring one old man, Sukuta Jame. We were together in Darfur. He knows me very well. So he came, he talked to me, tried to control me that, you know, just tell them what you know. If you don't know, I say, okay, it's fine, because I have high regards for you, you see. So I told them, well, anyway, I don't know anything about this old man Dabo. I have never gone to Pakaliba, you see. So we were there until 12 midnight when they said that we can be granted bail, provided that we have people who can come and bail us, you see. So everybody was calling. I also called my brothers who lives all the way in Farato to come to Banjul. Come to Banjul and come and bail me.
Are you okay to continue?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
All right. So your brother came and he bailed you?
Yeah, my two brothers came. The eldest one bailed me, that is Ajiba. He came and bailed me. But first when he arrived, you know, he was panicked. The first question he asked me was, Lamin, are you involved in a coup d'etat? I said no. He said, do you owe the government money? I said, no, I don't owe any money to the government. So he tendered his ID card and I was bailed, asked to report the next morning by 8 o'clock.
Can you tell us what happened when you reported the next morning?
Yes, when we reported the next morning, frequently these people will ask you A, B, and C. Tomorrow they will ask you something else. You see, they went up to an extent that they asked me even, why do I come with my rice from home to come and warm it in the office and eat it? You see, so I told them, look, this is my choice. Me, I'm somebody who, you know, that I don't like bread too much. So this is why I come with my rice. When I come, I'll warm it. I will not call anybody. If you are interested, you come and join me. You see?
Were you charged with any offense?
We were not charged with any offense finally, but I, being the senior, frequently I will receive calls from them to come and answer to the headquarters. I will drive my vehicle up to the NIA headquarters. I come sometimes, they'll get me seated the whole day. They will not tell me anything.
So that was the end of the matter. You were dismissed, there were no charges.
Yes, there were no charges. We were there going and coming. Sometimes they will request all of us to come. Sometimes they will request me to come alone. When I come, one time, you know, I had confrontation with Jobate Malik. I said, Malik, look, I am not working. I am not paid. The little resources that I have also, I have to be using it, fueling my vehicle, coming here and going, you see. So this was how it goes until one day when we were called and we were told to dress up very neatly in our fine clothes. So we were thinking that that was going to be the end of it. You see, when we came, to our surprise, we were just taken to a room and snapped. So they say, go home. We say, but was this why you told us to dress up very neatly? They said, yes, you people can go. So we went. We were there until in 2013. I received a call that we should report at the prison's headquarters that we are reinstated. So we also mobilized ourselves. Sorry, before we even report, one of our colleagues passed away. That is 849, Yaya Bojang from SIFO.
So up to the year of 2013, you were not aware of why you were dismissed?
No.
So you were reinstated in 2013?
In 2013.
And then you were dismissed again?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that scenario?
The second one, I want to finish this first one, because there was something I said to the senior management. When we came, there was some sort of a gathering that was formed. So they gave us our reinstatement letters. You know, before we could disperse, I seek the audience that I want to say something. So I told the senior management categorically clear that this team, we haven't done anything. Let it be clear to everybody that we'll take it in good faith, but we haven't done anything wrong. So that is all how it went. We were paid our benefits, to be honest, for the 10 months that we sat. I cannot remember the figures, but I know it was a little bit hefty. So the second one was in 2015. This was when myself and other senior officers from the various security apparatus, when with the then President Yahya Jammeh on a nationwide tour around the country. When we came back up to the combos, we had a meeting in Gunjur, I can remember.
Mr. Sowe, sorry, if we may get that correct.
Yes.
As prison officers, you escorted the president on tour.
Yes.
Was it the fact that you were visiting prisons?
No, he was not visiting prisons, but it was a norm. It's a norm that when the president is leaving on tour, normally all the senior security officers, they will tap senior security officers from various institutions to combine together, and they will follow the president, you know.
So can you tell us how many of you left your positions to accompany him on tour, and how long would you spend in the tour?
It was the former DIG, Sowe, who is now the commissioner at North Bank Region, General Sila Kujabi from the military, Colonel Ato Gomez also from the military. You have Alaji Conte from the GRA. You have Jim Drame from the Drug Law Enforcement Agency. You have Jibril Ning from the Fire and Rescue Services. You have Landing Jaju from the Gambia Immigration Department. And you have my humble self, Lamin Sowe, from the Gambia Prison Services. So it was 8 of us.
So all the top officials used to leave their positions and actually follow him on tour?
Yes.
For 2 weeks?
Sometimes it could be even more than that, because this man, along the line as you are going, he sometimes changes his itineraries, and you only have to stick to it.
Thank you. Continue about your dismissal in 2015.
So when we had a meeting in Gunjur, the next day we were supposed to have a meeting in Brufut, and the meeting was cancelled. I cannot remember the date, but the day I will never forget about that. That is on a Wednesday. The next day was Wednesday. We were supposed to go to the meeting at Brufut. In the morning, when I wake up, I came to Banjul. I was in Banjul waiting for the time of departure to the meeting. I start receiving calls. The first call I received was from Jibril Ning from the Fire and Rescue Services, who called me and told me that I have been dismissed from the service. So I told him, but it's a surprise, because fire service, I say, it's not easy with the then Chief Fire Officer Roger to relieve somebody of his duty. So I asked him, I said, what's the problem? He said, but they say no. He said, no, they say it's not only me alone, it's all of us. I said, okay, I'm waiting. Nobody haven't called me yet. So I was there. Lamin Jaju also called me from immigration that he have received his letter. I was there. Alaji Konde called me from GRA that he have received his letter. I was there. Musa Diba, who is from the NIA himself, called me that he is asked to go to the NIA, that there is a letter for him. You see, he asked me what happened. I say, no, I don't know. Me still, I did not hear anything. I was there. Jim Drame also called me. I say, I'm still not yet called. So whilst I was in Banjul, the late Luis Gomez, who was then the deputy director of NIA, called me. He said, where are you, Sowe? I say, I'm in Banjul. He said, I have been trying your boss all along, but I cannot get him.
Who was your boss at that time?
David Coley. I say, anyway.
Sorry, Mr. Sowe. Just to take you back. So does it mean that at the point where you were reinstated, David Coley was also reinstated?
Yes, David was the director.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Continue.
So I told him, anyway, DG is in his office at Mile 2, me, I'm in Banjul. He said, now, what you do is, can you go to your director and you come with him to the NIA headquarters? You see, I say, okay. I went to Mile 2. When I arrived, I told DG, anyway, I received a call from the Deputy Director, Luis Gomez, that I should go with you to the NIA headquarters to go and answer there. So he was some sort of panic. You see, what happened? I said, no, this time I think it's about me, because most of my colleagues have called me that they have received their dismissal letters. You see, so this was how we went up to the NIA headquarters. Upon arriving there, I found all my colleagues there. We were called in the then director's office, Yankuba Baji, and we were served with our dismissal letters that we were dismissed by executive orders from the office of the president.
Sorry, Mr. Sowe. When you're saying we, are you referring to you and Mr. David Coley, or are you referring to the fact that your other colleagues had already received their letters and you received your letter at that point at the NIA?
I'm referring to my other colleagues, not David. So when we were given our letters, you know, this present Interior Minister, Yankuba Sonko, he was the one who spoke. He told them that, anyway, we don't know why these people are dismissed, definitely, but we being the heads should take it upon ourselves. We see how best we can get these things sorted out, because these officers were stepping in our shoes, you see. So we were there. They asked us that we should hand over our ID cards and passports to the NIA. So which we went and collect our IDs and passports and hand them over to the NIA.
Can you tell us why it was relevant to hand in your passports?
Anyway, maybe reasons best known to them. Maybe they thought that maybe so that we will not have access of going out of the country, because you can't travel without a passport.
Were any of you holding service passports?
Yes, sir. I don't know of others, but for me, I was not holding any service passport. I only have ordinary passport.
Were you given any reasons why you were being dismissed?
They concur with the executive directives to dismiss us from the service. That was, the letter was just those two sentences.
Did Mr. David Coley try to make any inquiries or investigations as to why you were being dismissed?
No, in fact, he never made any inquiries to know why I was dismissed. Later, when I was at home, I also have people who were informing me. In fact, he was telling people different stories against me.
So you were not aware as to why you were being dismissed?
No. And this time around, the dismissal was very painful on me. Definitely, I'll be very frank to you. It was painful in the sense that, my first dismissal, then I was from the mission area. I have money with me, so I was okay. But this one, definitely it was very painful, and the way and manner we were being monitored was too tough. You see, in fact, I'll be very honest to you, I have to run away from my first compound. You see, only when I'm coming there, it is only late at night. So common people who don't know were speculating that yes, he ran away from his compound. But me, I know why I was running away. Because each time when I call my wife, he will tell me that I have seen people here with different faces here and there, people that I cannot understand. So I was like sneaking, going, you see, until one day when I visited Landing Jajubo in Brikama. We were brewing attire, you see. All of a sudden, we saw draw squad officers who came and surround us. So when they surround us, they ask us, look, whether we have any information of a cannabis tree that was just few meters away from us. So I wanted to get annoyed instantly, but Landing being an elderly person, and he seniored me, he said, no, calm down. I now asked the boy, I said, do you know the people that you are talking to? He said, no, but in fact, we will not talk with you people. We will pack you and take you to the police station. You see, I said, okay, let's go. This is how we went with them up to Brikama police station. When we entered their office, thank God, there was this officer in charge, Tamsir, the son of the late Aruna Jame, who knows me. When he saw me, he said, why are you people here? Uncle, what have you done? I said, no, as your officers. These people met us brewing attire, and they bunched us to say that we have knowledge of a cannabis tree that was just few meters away from us. I say, I for one, I don't know even how a cannabis tree look like. So Tamsir told them, look, leave these people, let them go. Do you know these people? These people were the people that were dismissed by the former president, Yahya Jammeh. So this is how we came back to Landing's compound.
So then you were reinstated in 2016?
Yes, we were reinstated in 2016. That is after the change of government have already been declared by the Independent Electoral Commission.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sowe, for your testimony before this commission.
I want to come in. We were reinstated, but this time around we were never paid off our time off, because this time was more longer. We sat for 13 months.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That is all for this witness.
Thank you very much, Counsel, and thank you, Mr. Sowe, for your testimony, both from yesterday and sorry you had to endure so much in the hands of your own colleagues. Commissioners, if you have any questions, Commissioner Kinte, you have the floor, please.
Good morning, Mr. Sowe.
Good morning, sir.
You have been Police Commissioner of Operations on 2 occasions.
Yes, sir.
The first one was in 2011.
Yes.
And the second one was in 13 or 15?
13.
13. And as you have explained your role, most of what happens in the prison, you are aware. the admissions, the discharge and others, discipline, admission of complaints and the like. You also told us, most of them you said, you have been told there were tortures and so on. You yourself may not have witnessed most of them. You also told us that when the NIA people are bringing, or the junglers, they were not identified because they will all come with plain cloth, probably claiming one name, NIA, but you suspected by their movement some of them will be junglers. But what we have learned is that when they take these people to NIA, normally they will be seriously tortured, and they will arrive with lacerations, bruises, injuries, swelling, and whatever. Can you please tell us few occasions when you have received these tortured people, and please give examples and their state, bodily state of matter.
Yes, like you said, the NIA were the junglers, because you never know who they are, will come and collect prisoners, and when they collect them, they take them, because when they are going with them, they are not under the escort of any prison wardens. They just go with them like that. And when they are bringing them back, they are the people who will escort them, you see. But by looking at them, I can just speak of one scenario which I have witnessed. That is the 38th attack detainees. When they were bringing them, I was there. I received them that night, and you can know that definitely these people have been tortured, because one of them was my elder brother, Sowe. You understand? But you dared not to ask those questions in the presence of those junglers or NIA officers, because if you do so, you will be endangered. So you only ask them when already these people have handed over these people and gone. I can fully remember Captain Job, when I was reinstated, when he saw me, the first thing he told me was, my brother, since you left here, that's the time we did not have anybody who will come around and ask us how are you people doing, how are your bodies, you see. So it's not easy.
How many times, you've just cited one example, 30th, the periods you did as Commissioner of Operations has been quite a while. Maybe you may remember others when they were brought in, because definitely you told us even when you are at home and detainees are brought, you have been contacted to come and administer them. Could it be only one time that you have received tortured people from NIA to admission?
Thank you, sir. It cannot be one time, but normally I'm called from home to come and attend to detainees. This is when these people are fresh detainees. But detainees who are under the custody of the prisons already, when they need them and they want to take them to the NIA, or junglers want to go and deal with them, that one, it doesn't need even to consult me. All what they will do is they will come to the prisons, whosoever they find on duty, they will request for the prisoner, and receipts will be drawn and they go with them. I can cite an example in the event of Cisse. You see, this was why Cisse had a push and pull with these officers, because they took long, and when they brought him back, the way they took him from Cisse and the way they brought him back was a bit different. So Cisse had to insist that no, they have to go and take him for treatment, which they were not pleased of.
No, I'm just talking about fresh admissions. You told us that every admission, if it is admission, fresh admission, you are contacted.
Yeah,
but I just want to emphasize that what we have learned is that before these people are admitted, almost all of them were seriously tortured before they are taken to the prison. So that's why I thought citing only one example is inadequate.
No, that's the only example that I can cite, because most of the other detainees that I receive when I was operations, most of them are civilians, and definitely I don't think they would torture civilians. They might torture them, but I cannot say for certain, definitely.
Again, the accounts we received from the previous two senior staff of prisons have all told us that David Colley was a stooge for Yahya Jammeh. And yes, you told us that even though you weren't an orderly to David, David would always want to go out with you, playing the role of an orderly. That is very close. And this person has been adversely mentioned. His issue has been very controversial. Why are you so special to David?
Anyway, reasons best known to him, David, what I know is I was one time a guard at his compound for 2 years. That is on shift. I will either come in the morning or in the afternoon, or I come at night. You see, when I was promoted to the rank of a corporal, I was returned back to the office as shift assistant to a sergeant. It is left with him during working times when he is going out and he want to go with me, he will send for me. They will go and call me inside the yard. I come, go with him, open the car, he enter. When we go where we reach, if I open the car, he get down, where he gets down, and he will go inside. Whatsoever he is going in for inside, that one is not up to my knowledge. When he comes back, we rejoin the car and we go.
We understand David started in the prison as a bar attendant, meaning there is a bar, or there was a bar in the prisons. Can you please tell us what type of beverages have been sold in that bar?
Thank you. Whether he started as a barkeeper, me, I cannot say for certain. I'm too young for that. I did not find him as a barkeeper. But what I know is in the prisons, even prior to his final moving out from the prisons, there was a cafeteria that is there where they sell liquor and other drinks. Somebody was attached there to sell liquor and other drinks.
What I believe is staff who are normally going there, I don't expect that prisoners have been given liquor.
No.
Fine. Staff that go to the prisons go on duty. Is it in place for people while on duty drinking liquor and so on? Can they behave abnormal and the like? Is that ethical in your own view?
That is unethical. It is even a chargeable offense as per the Prison Act. If you go to section 23, it is there. One should not be drunken whilst on duty. So,
then why do you sell liquor while on duty?
he was the one who is the head, and he's the one who prefer it like that. So we also saw it like that. I know I, for one, I will never drink liquor.
Okay, the rest I will leave because you'll have time to give recommendations.
Okay.
And so on. Maybe those will feature in your recommendations.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bishop, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Lamin, so
Yes, sir.
you did mention that you have two charge books, one for officers and one for inmates.
Yes, sir.
Now, what sort of problem or crime would come from inmates, between inmates and inmates, or inmates and prisoners, that would require a charge book?
Thank you, sir. There can be a problem between inmates, because the these are people who you know that they don't hail from the same family background. And when they stay together, obviously there is the likelihood that one may offend the other. So when they come, we control them as to how they will behave among themselves. That this is a place where you don't use your own powers, or you don't put the law into your own hands. Like if somebody offends you, you don't take the law into your own hands to solve your own problem. What you do is to report it to the officers on duty. This is why officers are on duty 24/7. Then the officers will see how best they can sort it out. In the event an inmate does something bad to another inmate, and eventually the one who is offended just get up and knock the other inmate and wound him. You know, we cannot leave it like that. We have to get both of them on board. We dig into the matter, try and get witnesses who were present, what happened. Then the person who is faulty will be charged in the book, and measures will be taken against him. It's either we take your visiting pass for a period of some times, or your remission or license will be at stake.
Now those that were detained in the prisons without the knowledge, their whereabouts were not known by their family members. And when the family members come to make inquiry at the prisons, and indeed the family members are detained in the prisons, why is it that prison officers or wardens would not speak the truth and tell them, yes, indeed, your family members are detained here?
Sir, at that time, if prison warders want to speak the truth, to inform the family members that, yes, it's true, your family members are here detained with us, they will have a problem, because that was the order of the day. You are strictly warned when these people are brought that, don't reveal to anybody that these people are being brought here as detainees. So it was not easy.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Chairman. And thank you, Mr. Sowe. My first question is specifically on the tortures, because you told the Commission that after your reinstatement in 2016, some prisoners told you about tortures that happened in the prisons. So I wanted you to clarify, is it just detainees that were tortured, or were they detainees that eventually became convicts, or were convicts themselves, as well as people in remand tortured? So could you please clarify which of the prisoners are tortured in prison?
This was general, because among those who were tortured, there were detainees. Among them, there were convicts. When you say torture, sometimes it can be physical torture, but torturing somebody sometimes can also be psychological, because the mere fact that this Commissioner Jame took the provision of all the prisoners in the holy month of Ramadan, was even a psychological torture to every inmate, definitely. Some were tortured physically, some were psychologically tortured.
Let me be more specific. I mean physical torture, the ones who were taken across the road to the headquarters, I believe it is, opposite the prisons itself. Were there inmates, or were they just detainees, or were there also people, regular, or if I could call it civilian inmates, and not necessarily political prisoners?
Yeah, anyway, the ones that complained to me, those were convict prisoners.
Okay, thank you. My second question is regarding the deaths in prison. We visited all the 3 prisons in Gambia, and I think, if I remember correctly, we met you during our visit. Some of the inmates in there told us about some prisoners who died and were actually buried within the prison yard. Could you please speak to this issue?
Prisoners that died and were buried within the prison yard there?
Yes.
Yeah, no, that one is not up to my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We've also had various witnesses who've come forward previously on the other themes. So I wanted to find out, do you have, as the Commissioner of Operations, do you have specific guidelines for the admittance of prisoners based on their sex? Do you have different guidelines for, say, women and for men?
Yes, we have different guidelines. This is why we have the female wing and we have the juvenile justice wing. You see, where young offenders are kept rather. When prisoners come and they are females, definitely it is purely the female wing officers who will take charge and do all the admission and necessary things. When they are juveniles, young offenders, Mile 2 will say, no, these people are young offenders. You have to take them to the juvenile wing.
Were these guidelines followed? Say, for instance, a mother comes in and she's detained with her nursing child. What should be the protocol that should be followed?
Yeah, when a mother comes with a child, normally what we do is we contact the social welfare department. You see, and arrangements are made. In most cases, this mother is not kept with the child in the prisons. There is a place in Bakote where an apartment is, where they will stay and they will be under the guard of the female prison wardens.
Okay, thank you. I'll be grateful if you could please share these guidelines with the Commission, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jallo, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Witness, would you kindly tell us if the pills that were used in your earlier days in the prisons are still being used, and what is your recommendation?
Sir, can you repeat your question?
You know, in the cells,
Yes.
you have pills. Are they still being used, or do you now have proper toilets for the prisoners?
Thank you very much for that question. Definitely, if I tell you the toilets in the prisons are good, I will not tell you the truth. The prisons in the Gambia is so much dilapidated because these are buildings that were built since during colonial days, and it's the same building that are existing up to now. They are very much dilapidated, and the prisoners are still using those toilets. We try to renovate them, but still one would not call them that they are up to standard.
Is there a certified medical officer permanently attached to the prisons, and what is your recommendation?
I said it here yesterday that we have our medical staffs who are trained, but they are not up to the standard of a medical doctor. You cannot call them a medical doctor, but they are trained medical staffs who are attached at the prison clinics on 24 hours, you see. But notwithstanding, we also have a doctor from the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital who comes round on weekly basis. When he is needed, before he comes for rounds, he can be called and he will come in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So chamber pots are no longer used in the prison?
No, they are still used, sir. They are still used at the remand wing and at the security wing.
Thank you.
Number 5, number 4, and number 1. Number 7 is just a big hall. They have their own toilet.
Thank you. Commissioner Carr, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Sowe, for your testimony. We've discussed a lot during this session about the conditions of the prisons, but what hasn't come out clearly is the welfare of prison staff. And of course, we know the two are linked. If the welfare of prison staff is not good, there is no way the welfare of the prisoners can be good too. So I want to know, what are the conditions of service of prison officials?
Thank you very much for that question. I was going to leave that to my concluding remarks, but it's good that you asked me. Definitely, when you talk about prisons, Commissioner, there are three things that are involved. And these three things, they have to go together. One is the prisoners, two is the prison wardens, and the third one is the structures in which the inmates are being kept. Definitely the prison wardens, their welfare is still is not up to standard, because I can say we are marginalized. In fact, we are having that problem right now at the command level, because there is this risk allowance that is being fixed for services, and we feel that we are left out, and we feel that definitely our job is more risky than any other job, because there is no person in this world that you will inform that today I'm taking you to the prisons and the person smiles. The moment you are told by a court of law that you are going to jail, you have a second thought of yourself. Much more if you are told that you are going to serve life imprisonment. So you now think of my life is completely in limbo. So you are keeping very well to serve as a source of motivation.
Thank you. The second question is regarding the preparations for the prisons to handle pandemics. Currently, we are in of course, the issue of the COVID-19. And so I want to know, is the prisons really prepared? Because you've mentioned the issue of overcrowding. Is often
very well. And first of all, I want to seize this opportunity to thank all the philanthropists who have stood by our side during this difficult period of COVID-19 pandemic. Definitely the prisons, we are also trying our utmost best, and government have tried. We wouldn't say they did not try, because the health personnel were there to sensitize both officers and prisoners with regards to the dangers of this disease. There was decongestion that was done in the convict area, that is the main yard. That one is fine, but we still have a problem. Where we have the problem is the remand wing. The remand wing is still congested, and definitely we will be more than the word happy to see that the remand is decongested. We are not saying release people freely from the crimes that they have committed. But if people can be given reasonable bail terms so that they will be bailed by their family members, then after the COVID-19 they can take it from there. The other issue we did was we also go in for the safety precautions. We have our detergent buckets everywhere for both officers and prisoners, and we advise them to wash their hands frequently. We also have this, I think, is it thermometer they call it? The one they used to check your BP. We have about 4 of them, one for Joshua, one for Janjambure, 2 for mile 2, that is at the main gate and at the clinic, which our medics are using. We also tried that anybody who is entering in the prisons, make sure you wash your hand and your temperature is checked. But definitely we will love the remand wing to be decongested.
Thank you. The final question is regarding young offenders. At some point, if I got you right from your testimony, you had you were involved in that aspect of your work, that is the juvenile wing. I want to know what is the biggest challenge you have in dealing with young offenders, and I want to know from your own point of view, because the last time we went to the prison, we seemed to see a lot of young people. And I want to know, do you think the preparations, because we were told that there were schemes to prepare them for out of prison life, do you think that do you think really prison prepares these young people to reform? I know this has been partially dealt with, but I want to know your own perspective on this for when they leave prison.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. Definitely, young offenders are real concerns to the prisons. In fact, as I'm speaking to you, there is a classroom block that is being erected, because at first they have their lessons just at the veranda of the cell, which we deem is not that much ideal for them. So a classroom block is set for them, and we also have some skills that we normally train them. But what I would recommend is when you go to other countries, you will see how they prepare their prisoners before they will leave the prisons. Because if somebody is serving a sentence and he is about to leave, obviously you have to give him, if you give him the skill of carpentry and he don't have the carpentry tools, when he go out he cannot just instantly start doing carpentry. So there is this what is called aftercare. When you are going, if you are a masoner, when you are going, you are given all tools of masonry. When you move out of the prison gate, you can have a contract and you start working. You see, so we are trying our utmost best to see that maybe in the near future we have those things for them.
Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you. Sorry?
I just want to follow.
Please go ahead, Commissioner Kinte.
Mr. Sowe,
Yes, sir.
about the pandemic that you have covered with Commissioner Ka, I remember it was stated here that the security wing now is empty. And in the accounts, it was also said that because of the congestion, that the remand victims don't want, they opted for being in the security wing or in the cell so that there is space. You told us one of the wings can accommodate up to 99 detainees. That's only one wing. Let's imagine that everything together they can accommodate 150. Don't you think that will contribute, enhance the congestion efforts that we are talking about? Move some of them. Either the convicts move to, in the meantime, as a coping strategy, move to the remand security wing, and then the remand wing will also be reduced to the real convict, that's the main hall, and so on, so that the congestion and there will be safety of these inmates. What are your views about that?
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, most of the cells at the security wing number 5 are decongested as I'm speaking to you. But you must also remember that the facilities that are at the remand wing are not at the security wing number 5. So moving somebody from the remand wing and you want to take him to the security wing number 5, the person will, 1, not have access to TV, 2, he will not have access to the fans that are at the remand wing, so it might not go very well with him, you see. So these are some of the issues that we are also facing. What I would have loved personally is to see that the remand is decongested through granting bails to remand prisoners at a reasonable standard, so that after the COVID-19 they can kick off from there. This is what I would have loved.
Thank you, Mr. Sowe. You may proceed with your concluding remarks now.
Thank you, sir.
Please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I want to seize this opportunity to thank the Almighty Allah for making me sit before this commission today and give my concluding remarks. First of all, I say Alhamdulillah, and I thank my 2 parents, that's my mom and my late dad, and my relatives. Mr. Chairman, in the Gambia, when we talk about the prisons, When we talk about prison reforms, like I said, we are talking about three things. That is the prisoners, the officers, and the structures. But the prisons department is one of the most dilapidated department in this country that everybody can attest to. Because the prison was left behind for years. It was just used as a punishment center, like previous speakers have said. I've seen people coming into this, going to the Jane Commission and saying millions were given in for the renovation of prisons, which we have not heard, we have not seen. So I also want to thank, donors like the Gambia Ports Authority, the Prison Fellowship, the GCCI for the boss, Gambia Ports Authority. For one time, they gave us medication worth of $33,000. Definitely, we were very grateful to them. The Prison Fellowship, who are our partners, and the Pipeline Mosque, and others who are always remembering us, definitely. And I also want to thank seriously the people who stood by us during this pandemic, COVID-19, because this is one of the most difficult period that I think since I knew myself I have seen happening in life, something that have hold the whole world at ransom. Prison officers need to be elevated. People are saying, yes, in the prisons, the people there, they are not educated. To me, if it goes like this, even the uneducated people will run away from prisons. Because there is this stigma that the public is having for prison wardens. Average Gambians cannot tell you that, no, one day I just took it upon myself and I went to the prisons to go and see, how these people are living there. When people are driving, passing Banjul, they don't even want to look at the prisons. And this is state central prisons of the Gambia. It belongs to the whole Gambia. It does not belong to me. It does not belong to the Director General. So I think we should all put hands on deck to see how to change the prisons. I haven't visited other prisons in other countries, but going by goggles and whatsoever, with what I have seen other prisons doing and how they look like, is completely different from what is existing in the Gambia. Like today, as I'm speaking to you, the way we escort our prisoners is very risky. You are putting a prisoner in a pickup who is charged of murder, taking him to court behind a pickup. Do you know what are his intentions? He may jump and even carry along the officers, they all fall down and die. Then people start saying, had I known. But definitely we have a lot to do. And I want to seize this opportunity to tell people that the present Director General of Prisons needs a tap on his back. He is doing his utmost best, to make certain changes, giving us the conducive environment alone to decide. Anytime you want to decide as an authority is one good thing. You see, there is this inside trading that are training prisoners on skills, electrical installation, tailoring, plumbering. You see, you name them, and these people are given authentic certificates. You see, that when they go out, they can show it out, and they will be trusted in and will be contracted. You see, the other thing he did was this pub that people were complaining all along, to change it to tea and bread, which definitely had made significant changes. So it's like he's moving in a step to the right direction, but this is something that he cannot do alone. So I would love philanthropists and all Gambians to come forward. Now it's not like before when you will say, if I go to the prison, they will ask me, why do I come here? What have I come to find here? Everybody is free. Come with your idea and what you can do for us. We sit and table it and put it on paper and see how it works for the benefits of everybody. So these are some of the few things that I would like to appeal to people, and please let Gambians try and remove this stigma of against prison officers. We are Gambians like you, one way or the other. Some have to be something, some others have. So God say we are going to be prison officers. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and the entire commission. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much indeed, Commissioner of Operations Sowe, for your testimony, and also you and your colleagues for your service to the country. It is important service, and you're absolutely right. It should be so recognized. I hope the testimony that you have given and your colleagues as well would help us in the formulation of our recommendations concerning prison services. Thank you so much for coming to assist us. We will take a 30-minute break and come back at 12:30. Council, is that okay?
That is okay, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Meeting is adjourned, and thank you again, Commissioner Sowe, for coming. Meeting is adjourned.
Coronavirus exists. Coronavirus is a disease that attacks the respiratory system. The symptoms of COVID-19 are fever, tiredness, dry cough, shortness of breath, headache, sore throat. Coronavirus spreads primarily through droplets of saliva or discharge from the nose when an infected person coughs or sneezes. Please don't be scared. To prevent infection and to slow transmission of COVID-19, follow the safety precautionary measures placed by the World Health Organization. Wash your hands regularly with soap and water, or clean them with alcohol-based hand rubs. Maintain at least 1 meter distance between you and people coughing or sneezing. Avoid touching your face. Cover your mouth and nose when coughing or sneezing. Stay home if you feel unwell. Refrain from smoking and other activities that weaken the lungs. Practice physical distancing by avoiding unnecessary travel and stay away from large groups of people. Please don't be scared of the virus. Follow the precautionary measures. Stay home, stay safe.